Bonjour Watcher, this is Johnny Mega 45 and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. The last episode, we are seeing day 4, right? Yeah, it's day 4, please. I want to see day 5 sooner. And what is this? Oh yeah, this one day back for the cookie bar.
あいつ、甘いものなんて興味なさそうな顔してるけど、こんなものを持っていたのは意外だね。
I couldn't deny it says a little out of character for Kazuki to be carrying chocolate around. That said, at this point I would really have been surprised if she pulled a pigeon out of her hand. She was clearly capable of anything.
何にせよ、チョコレートは大歓迎だ。座りなよ。
はい。
What should we do next? What's going to become of us? How long before we can go home? We may have little for every word come out of our mouths boil down to a very short on one of those 3 sentences. As of that morning, the literacy of unanswered questions had hardly trickled to a halt. But our 4th day in the valley started that psychologically. Harsh as our environment was, our tents to shield us from the elements and our sleeping bags to keep us warm at night. As we began to find comfort in such things, we were gradually growing calmer. With the provisions distributed on the first day's our ration daily reduced to a bird's helping out rice. It was only natural that the topic of our conversation shift from such vague anxiety to the concrete topic of food.
チーズが食べたいな。
While studying the card she been dealt, Kaneda senpai muttered those words to no one in particular like some kind of prayer. Her love for dairy was well known to the team. When the practice ended and the Frenchmen took orders for their obligatory snack run to the nearby convenience store, she'd always request something cheesy.
ないものは仕方がないだろ。
分かっちゃいますけど、先輩だって甘いものが食べたいって言ってたじゃないですか。
甘いものは実際にあるじゃないか。キャンディーにガムにブレッツェル。それに見なよ。アマネがチョコレートを持っている。まさにカモネギじゃないか。
確かにチョコは魅力的ですよね。一番甘いですし。
Oh, is Amane going to lose? 3 sets of eyes always intended on my bar of chocolate. It felt almost like they weren't seeing anything else, or I physically cringe. If all of 3 were to pound at once, I would be completely unable to defend myself. As I bit my lower leg and swallowed nervously, sucked my glance up and abruptly burst into laughter.
心配ないさ、大丈夫だよ。確かにここ最近苦くて渋い草ばっかり食べてるせいで甘いものに飢えているのは間違いないけど、たかがチョコレートで喧嘩を始めるほど私たちも子供ではないからね。
Well, we are fighting right now, right? For the stuff.
ですよね。
もしこの場に小沢先輩がいたら、それも保証の限りではないですけどね。
As she spoke, Ibuki discarded a pair of cards from her hand. True enough, Ozawa would have handled this situation well. Her juniors had called her the devil demon behind her back for nothing. Insensitive as it seemed, I couldn't help but think her instant death in the bus crash had at least spared her from otherwise inevitable agony. Perhaps she's been lucky in a way.
そういえばさ、小沢ちんのバッグどうなったの？
バッグ？
ほらあの子、いっつもバッグの中にぎっしりとお菓子を隠してたでしょ。あのバッグがあれば私たちしばらく甘いものに困らないんじゃない？
先輩たちの私物はバスから回収した後、全部先生に預けましたけど。
ということはやっぱり部長が管理してるってことか。
Just then I glanced absent-mindedly at the chocolate bar in my hand, did a bit of a double take. Come to think of it, Kazuki was the one who retrieved Ozawa senpai's belongings from the bus. Could this possibly be something Kazuki secretly swiped from her bag?
どうしたアマネ？君の番だよ。
はい、ごめんなさい。
Amane, stop making stupid face. Please, 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 please. Instinctively apologizing for no particular reason, I put the furthest card on the right from Sakuma's hand. She chuckled softly. I do take the worst possible guard off her hands. The Joker, if it was you at the very end, you lost the game. For a moment, the smirking cloud staring back at me from the cheek laminate gleam that seems to be wearing Kazuki's face.
結局のところさ、食料を全部管理しているのは部長と小出のペアでしょ。彼女ら自分たちだけお腹いっぱい食べてるなんてことはないよね。
Oh no, don't start fighting on that part, please. From the cards I offer her, Canada pull out the 8 of spades.
それはないと信じたいね。坂下はああ見えて責任感は人一倍強いし、自分だけ楽をしようとは思わないタイプだよ。
そうでしょうか。
Yeah, I wonder about that. Agree? If we can pull a card for Canada hand, then I discard a new home pair into the card. But this one share, only 4 cards remain.
坂下部長は責任感が強いというか、自分以外の場所に責任を転嫁するのが上手なだけですよ。私、あの部長苦手です。
出たよ。またブッキーの苦手ですだ。君はそうやって何でも嫌ってみるんだね。
Sorry. As Sakuma senpai leaned over towards her, Ibuki cheeks flushed slightly red. She thrust out her remaining 4 cards in front of her, remained face as if trying to keep her at bay.
そうやって簡単に信じてしまう方が善人なんですか？私は善人なんて嫌です。騙されて利用されて、それでもよかった、病気の子供はいなかったんだなんて言えるほど、私は聖人じゃありません。
私は。
そういうとこかわいいな、ブッキーは。そろそろ髪切った方がいいね。前髪を切ればもっと可愛くなる。
余計なお世話です。私は好きでこの髪型にして、もう触らないで。
触らないで。
イチャつくのは二人きりの時にしてもらっていいですか？
Wrinkling her brow as if trying to hold back an imminent sneeze, Kaneda flapped her hand in the air in a signal, get on with the game already.
うちのペアは小森が飼ってる犬がいるから余計な食いぶちが増える分食料の減りが早いんだよね。あの犬っころ生意気に雑草なんか嫌だって全然食べないし。
Now you put blame on that stupid pair of yours.
そういえば犬って肉食なんじゃないんですか？
Yeah, let the dog eat the corpses, please.
雑食なんじゃないかな。うちの近所の犬なんか散歩の途中で道端に生えてる雑草とかむしゃむしゃ食べてるの見るよ。
あ、それなんだっけ？肉ばっかり食べていると胸焼けするから食べるんじゃなかったっけ？
でも今朝だって配給の玉ねぎ食べさせようとしたけど完全にそっぽ向いて見向きもしなかったよ。
犬に玉ねぎ食べさせちゃダメですよ。犬に玉ねぎを食べさせると貧血を起こすって言うじゃないですか。
そうなの？
チョコレートもダメだって言うよね。
それこそ犬に食べさせるぐらいなら自分で食べますよ。
まあね。私も小森に同じようなこと言ったらさ、なんか責任感じたみたいで。犬が食べられそうなもの探すって今日も朝からずっと山の中を歩き回ってるよ。
へえ、トリュフでも見つけてくるんですかね。
Never mind, in the 6 or 7 days, let's eat the dog together.
あれ？トリュフは豚が探すんじゃなかった？
豚。
何にせよ犬だけじゃなくて私たちの食べるものが問題ですよね。このまま雑草ばっかり食べててもそう長くは持ちませんよ。
If we wait 3 days, we could hold out another 7. That was Kazuki's estimate. We do stay here for another week, shaping on weeks through. If our rescue had arrived by then, we have no choice but to go get out, help ourselves. Most likely the death will preserve your stock of food for that purpose. But when I say too much, Canada scowled dubiously.
でもさ、救助を呼びに行くってどうやって？
By God, the forest, you stupid girl. As she spoke, Canada stretches irritably at the bandage right around her forehead. The wood underneath must have been growing itchy in the humidity.
誰か一人代表者を決めてその人に水と食料を託して山を降りてもらうんです。
降りられるならとっくにそうしてるでしょうが。こんな道もないような山どうやって降りるのよ。どっちに進めばいいのかすらわからないのに。
だから部長と先生はそれを調べるために今も山に入っているんじゃないですか。
責任者の自主的な行動って言えば聞こえはいいけどさ、それって無駄に食料を減らしてるだけじゃん。いっそのこと全員で別々の方向に山を降りればいいんだよ。
Yeah, that is the best option. I still don't understand why they don't want to separate all of them to go out. Everyone, send them, spread.
だからそれは
Amane, stop being stupid. Please, you make a stupid face. We didn't have nearly enough provisions for a game like that, and we could have just abandoned the wooden. Yeah, I believe so. That's the logical sense. There was only one practical plan. It is as well we go on these mere directions, crawl open the path through the wilderness that travels here, hope all the white for the arrival of our rescuers. No, they are not going to appear. And then was our investigation yielded something in the way of landmarks. Send off a representative with 3 days worth of food. When another 3 days passes, we could send off a second representative by following the sign the first had the landmark the cereal. So that's straight, they should make it further down the mountain. Lashing one short stick to the next, slowly but surely we draw closer to our objective. There was an idea that had been brought out of Kazuki's theoretical digital communication plan. If we could repeat this often enough, in theory we would eventually be able to escape, but there was no guarantee. I found myself hesitant to explain.
喧嘩はやめましょうよ。それこそ無駄にお腹が減るだけじゃないですか。
喧嘩なんてしてないじゃん。話し合ってるだけだよ。
だったらその無駄にイライラした口調やめてもらっていいですか。あまねに八つ当たりしたって
私がいつ八つ当たりしたってのよ。
Yeah, you now started a fight, Kaneda.
金田、それに息吹もその辺にしときなよ。
I also heard that a carrier deficit makes you prone to face irritability, but at that moment, although all of our diets were badly unbalanced, the main causes of our crankiness were clearly the contempt, growing hunger we all share. It's easy to be polite on full stomachs, as they say. In the end, we kept our game on until Captain Sakashita and Mr. Ochi returns for the expedition. I finished with a so-so record of the 3 defeats and 4 victories. In exchange for 3 of the 12 blocks of chocolate, I obtained 4 pieces of soft candy and wrapped in aluminum foil. Against the contrast of my slightly dirty farm, those spoils of wall looked irresistibly beautiful. I broke one of my nose and negatively as the penis of the strawberries which my mouth was sneakily overflowed with drool. There were 4 candies in my mouth. If I pop one of my mouth right now, nobody will ever know. If it was even me a net loss of 1 or 2, I would have lost 3 small pieces of chocolate and brought back 3 comparable chunks of sugar. As my thoughts raced unbeaten through this calculation, I swallowed the spirit of my as a slight lukewarm dust my I catch myself with a guilty joy. It would be dishonest, unfair, cowardly to eat one now, not less than the betrayal of Kazuki, and once you betray her, I will probably continue to do so. There was a line I couldn't cross.
何か悩み事？あまね。
Eh? Nani? Now it's evening.
どうかした？
ツッキ、あなた、分かってて私をいじめているの？
何のこと？全然わからないわ。
It really seems like a deliberately timed appearance on her part, but even if it was a coincidence, Kazuki's luck to appear at that exact moment would be frightening in its own right. After one long deep breath, I jerked my head down in a ball of apologize.
ごめん、カズキ。私今、カズキに内緒でつまみ食いしようか悩んでた。あら、正直。そんなの黙っていればわからないのに。わからないからこそ、汚い行為なんだよ。
I had out the soft candies I wanted again, the remains of the chocolate bar to Kazuki. Cupping her hands gently over my dress, the Kazuki flashes me a satisfied smile.
大丈夫よ。それができないあなただから、私はあなたに全てを任せたのだから。はい、あんしなさい。
Stop making a stupid face, Amane, for God's sake.
あん。
Kazuki deflected the unrest one of those candies she received from me and then plucked out the small white pillows into my half open mouth.
おいしい？
The candy was unbelievably sweet to my tongue. My entire mouth was instantly filled with the taste of sugar, and the next moment I saw that vibrant sweetness was seeping into my veins and spreading to my body. That single piece of candy was so delicious I was actually trembling. Kazuki watched it passionately as I rolled my eyes out in a bliss and swirled the candy concealers around my mouth. Then popped another of the candies into my mouth. And with the worst goodness, it really is sweet, smiling pleasure.
でも、こういった熱量食は一人でこっそりと食べた方が美味しいのかもしれないわね。どうして？私の弟がそうだったの。変に禁欲的というか、好きなものをあげてもあまり喜ばないし、 後で一人で隠れてこっそり食べるの。どうしてって聞けば、下手に喜ぶと誰かに取り上げられるかもしれないし、一人の方が落ち着くっていうのよね。人間は喜んでいる瞬間が一番無防備だということをすでにあの年齢で知っているのだから、さすがは私の弟ね。そういう卑屈に歪んでいるところもすごく可愛いわ。なんだかわかるようなわからないような。理解しない方が幸せよ。特に家族に対してすら不器用にしか生きられない人間はね。
What? Family, the brief word resonated painfully inside me. If as I thought, an icicle had unexpectedly pierced my chest to the core. Of course, your parents must miss you. They're wondering you're dead or alive. What were my parents doing right now, worrying about their missing daughter? A sad song now. It was a little past 5 o'clock. Normally I would be heading home from after school practice right about that time. I tended to come home a little hungry from practice. The refrigerator would be packed full of sweet drinks. On the kitchen table, more snacks that I possibly need were always waiting for me. After a satisfied snack, we head to the bathroom and took a long luxurious soak in steaming hot water. Then cool down with a cup of cold milk, idly distorting my voice in the electric fan while my mother prepared dinner. Without even asking, my parents offered me more food than I could eat. I said without a second thought. Often without even a word of thanks. That stupid, ungrateful ignorance filled me with a bit of shame. But at the same time, compared myself to the spirited, frightening girls who just quivered ecstatic over a single piece of candy, I couldn't repress a surge of miserable self-pity.
Amane? どうして泣くの？泣いてないよ。周りを見てごらんなさい。
As I started, I looked around the area only to find it deserted.
今はあなたと私しかいないわ。
There's no need to hold back. The instant those words left my I felt the tears glance swell out in the corner of my eyes. My sad restraints crumbled like sand and I burst into sobs of violence. So sad, we cannot romance Kazuki. Of course, because that is Yuji's older sister. We cannot romance a sister. His sister. Crying was going to face anything. Nobody was going to slow down and rescue me. No matter how much I grieved over my powerlessness and ignorance, there was no overdue to be had. What was done could be undone.
帰りたい。私、帰りたいよ、和樹。
Hiding my twisted, wretched expression behind the palm of my hand, I crumbled to my knees on the spot. Without a word, Kazuki drew near, wrapped her arms around my head, and hugged me against her slender stomach. Pathetic, utterly pathetic. When I was still a child, there was a girl among the neighbor kids who break into tears at the slightest thing. I remember taking of her as a noise, as a stupid, useless crybaby. If I wish somebody would come to help me. Somebody would take pity on me and solve my problems for me. The transparent self-interest behind her actions was just as irritable as the blubbering itself. And now I become just a worthless morning crybaby, running my running nose and against the bed of a girl considerably smaller than me, sobbing to her skirt.
ごめん、和樹。ごめんね。許して。いいのよ、大丈夫。今すぐってわけにはいかないけれど、いつか必ず私があなたを家に帰してあげる。約束するわ。
As she spoke, Kazuki took one arm around my head and began to softly stroke my hair. My family wasn't with me. There was no such a pointless, clingy little breakdown could be anything but irritable to anyone in the place. They were all suffering just the same. Beware, so Kazuki didn't push me aside. She held me again in her arms and said it all, offering me certain hopeful words. That kindness was painful in its own right, but at the same time it felt like an irreplaceable, precious gift.
和樹は辛くないの？帰りたくないの？
Of course I want to go home, you stupid Amane. See, Kazuki, very beautiful. Turning my face from Kazuki's belly, I met her gaze with watery eyes and murmured a distinctly childish question. She gave me a little laugh, her stomach shaking lightly against me, and answers, "Don't worry about me. I'm a genius." 帰りたいかと聞かれれば、それはもちろん帰りたいわ。私がいないうちに
弟が両親にいじめられてやしないかと思うと気が気じゃないわ。
Closing a single eye, Kazuki furrowed her brow and pursued her legs.
こんなことになるのなら、小森さんが犬をそうしたように、私も弟をバッグに詰めて内緒で連れ込んでしまえばよかった。失敗したわね。
No, I'm pretty sure that would work too well for you. With one final loud shriek, I found myself stopping as he gave away a small burst of laughter.
天才でも失敗するんだ。もちろん天才だって失敗はするわ。失敗を失敗で終わらせない人を天才というのよ。そしてそれに一生気がつかない人を凡人と呼ぶの。
天才も楽じゃないね。
私の苦労を思いばかる余裕が出たのなら、そろそろ泣き止んでいただける？大の男を腹で泣かせることができれば女として一人前だとは言うけれど、あなたは女の子だしね。そろそろ鬱陶しいかも。
優しくないな、和樹は。
それは心外だわ。私だってできることならあなたが泣き疲れて眠ってしまうまでベッドで絵本でも読んであげたいけれど、ここにはベッドも絵本もないのだから仕方がないでしょ。
ごめんね、多分もう大丈夫だから。なんだろうね、自分でもなんで急に泣いたのかわからないよ。
流した涙はきっちりと舐めておきなさい。貴重な塩分がもったいないわ。それと
Kazuki reaches out, took my hand, and dropped all the remaining candy and chocolate onto my palm.
これはあなたに預けます。即効性の高い熱量食は貴重よ。私がいいと言うまで手をつけずに保管すること。いい？
わかった。
Kazuki was entrusting me with such important provisions, it was clear she genuinely trusted me. I actually couldn't betray that trust. But he will betray that later. Beating my lower lip at the heavy sense of responsibility, I started intended at the chocolate in my hand. Watching my reaction, Kazuki sighed slowly through her nose.
生真面目なのはいいけれど、責任と責任感を履き違えないことね。そうやって何でも我慢して耐えちゃう子は弟を見ているようで切なくなるし、そんな子は長生きはできないわよ。
責任と責任感って何が違うの？
負うべきものが責任、負わなくていいものまで追いたがるのが責任感。その境目を見失わないように。
よくわからないけど、わかったふりだけしておくよ。
I don't get it, but I don't need to get it either. If Kazuki says so, that's why it is. I was aware I do take the easy path in letting someone else think for me, but honestly I didn't care anymore. The classic idiot who tries to take a heavy burden on their shoulders won't achieve anything but catastrophic failures. I understood that just fine even before Kazuki drove the point home. For that very reason, I decided to obey her orders without a second thought. Kazuki told me I couldn't eat the candy without her permission, so I would sit on my haunches, blubbering like a dog until she spoke the magic word. The permission never gave, I do went out of the years and carried them to my grave. In this situation, where nothing seemed certain except uncertainty, the one and only thing I had come to believe in was Kazami Kazuki. I kept the thought to myself since I was aware she only offers another sarcastic, might you be mistaking me for God in response. But at this point I would probably answer, you're not? That's what Kazumi had become for me. Yes, 5th day, but it's raining, oh no! A very bad day. It's raining. The 5th day in the valley. Let's begin for the conclusion today. It rained all day long. To be honest, I had no idea rain could be this unpleasant. The constant drumming of water against the tent was unexpectedly loud, enough to make conversation difficult, and the light entering the van was far dimmer than usual. Thanks to my strong astigmatism, everything seemed fuzzy in this place, so it was extremely difficult to do much of anything. But the bigger the problem was the rain water that oozed from the ground beneath us and the damp chill it brought. This morning I woke to a real double one. The psychological jolt of imagining for a familiar nightmare, the physical pain of the throbbing headache. I don't pile to my son in my sleeping bag last night, but when I came to it, I was soaking wet. My other temperature had fallen as I slept, and the chill blood running through my veins had numbed the blood vessels in my brain. Even after waking, my colorless star body struggled to warm itself. My teeth chattered uncontrollably in my mouth. I started reproachfully out through the tent at the merciless sky.
和樹。
Changing out my weight clothes might help a man as well. Somewhere, my spare clothes had to be soaked through as well. I hit on the idea of the hot drink after a few minutes, but it was pouring outside the tent. Starting a fire would be difficult, and more importantly, the fierce sound of rain striking against the canvas had proved to be draining me out of the willpower even poke my head outside.
玉ねぎ茶もう一杯飲む？
Okay, I venture up in the midst of the downpour for my sake, making that boy in one of our unseen shack beverage. The stuff was never really worthy of the name deeper. Right now, we let those same skins sit so many times it was little more than faintly yellow water. Of course, I was plenty happy to have even that, and Kazuki's act of mercy contrasts so strongly with my own cowardice that I felt about ready to cry with gratitude. But when I glanced over at her sitting there, her wet hair matted like a stray dog's clothes, I couldn't exactly find out a casual show and the feel would be nice. My head still gripped with the empty one. I slowly shook my head.
ひどい雨だね。明け方近くに大きな雷が何度も落ちたのに、あなた全然目を覚まさなかったわね。なんか大きな音がしてるなとは思ったけど。
Even when the roars jolted me away for the moment, my listlessness quickly overwhelmed me again. I still didn't have the energy to wake up that early. Immediately after that fall, I'd been unable to sleep through the night. As I do slightly with frequent interruptions, the morning often seems to sneak out on me before I knew it. But lately, that had changed dramatically once I managed to do so. It was very difficult to wake up. More and more, falling asleep felt like sinking into the thick bed of mud.
疲れてるのかな。肉体的というよりは精神的な疲労が濃いのでしょうね。それと単純に環境に慣れ始めたのが原因ね。過酷な環境に慣れないうちは寝ている間に記憶の整理を行いながらも周囲の状況に警戒を怠らないから小さな物音でも目を覚ましてしまうのよ。
That sounds plausible now that she mentioned. The first few days living in the tent, that the state of the neighborhood next door would be enough to jerk me away, and my eyes were open automatically at the first light of dawn. In that respect, Kazuki was an ideal tentmate. Once asleep, she lies so still in her bed, I sometimes have what she suddenly lying there. I never once heard her snort or grunt in her sleep. Lately, Kazuki has been sleeping on a very regular schedule. We started preparation for dinner at 6:30 and finished our meals by 7 p.m. Or what passed me at this point at least. By evening, I noticed her sleeping around 9. She'd come out and declare herself sleepy. And then she would crawl into our tent, cheerfully spread out her neck and take off her uniform and leave it naked for at her outside. And instead her head in the rucksack she used for pillow, she exhaled noisily just once and goes silent. In just 10 seconds, I heard a soft regular breathing that indicated she had been falling asleep. Of course, I could have switched to sleep mode quite so easily. I was such predictable self-view. Because in my conversational partner's loss, I have very little to do myself late at night. So I then managed to fall asleep. I stopped on board by staring at Kazuki's sleeping face. After a few minutes of dreaming, she occasionally made a face in her sleep. More often feeling her brow in her car, caricature of troubled thoughts, sometimes smiling ruefully at nothing in particular.
ねえ、和樹って夢を見たりするの？そうね。看護師さんとかお花屋さんとかケーキ屋さんなんて素敵ね。そういう話じゃなくってさ。
In the first place, one with the half-assed attempt at pretending you're some run-of-the-mill girl with cutesy little dreams. Forget being honest, you'd be much better suited to the role of the black market surgeon with a title old doctor's robe. Florist, cupcake peddlers, tricon artist, maybe the founder of some sketchy cult.
ああ、夢って睡眠時に見る方の話？それならもちろん見るわよ。どんな夢？今日見たのは学校に入りたての頃、学食のセルフサービスのシステムがよくわからなくて戸惑った時の夢を見たわ。基本的に過去に経験した記憶の再配置が多いかしら。空を飛んだりするような夢はあまり見ないわね。そうなんだ。私は最近高いところから落ちる夢をよく見るよ。
I had dreams of the sort ever since I was a sophomore. I fallen from the top of the cliff. As the ground beneath my quick crumbles to nothing and plunged down while I stand in quiet composure at the earth far below. I thought oddly calm. I guess I'm going to land like over there. And as long as I get that detached perspective, I never cease to hit the ground. Eventually, it occurs to me that I am dreaming. In the next moment, I slammed to the earth and jerked away in my bed, my whole body rigid with shock. What might a dream like that signify? Kazuka's answer was brief. It means you are uneasy. Other than falling, my most common dream was probably of the running fairy I did. This very morning, I had found myself feeling with some vaguely defined menacing pursuers. A countless number of black shadows hot on my heels. I was pushing my way desperately forward through oily, thick air, dragging my strangely heavy legs along the ground. The illusion was unusually persistent, even when I realized it was just a dream. It kept its hold on me, just as I began to beg myself to wake up. My eyes had slowly opened to the sensation of that throbbing headache. I turned my cell phone briefly to check the time. Apparently, it was already past 2 p.m. The rain was still hammering fiercely down. By now, the tent was half submerged in muddy water. I was starting to clothe myself in the heavy wet uniform, rubbing my arms and trembling from the cold. Although I was doing nothing at all, my stomach was still growling. And although my stomach was growling, it was still raining outside. Think of the time it would take to start the cooking fire. I lost all motivation to try. What were the other girls doing right now? I took a quick glance out at the entrance of the tent, but there didn't seem to be anything. I moved through the door. They must have been quite late to see the storm in their tent. The steady drumming of the rain was the only sound I could hear. The cries of the cicada so vigorously persisted when the weather was clear were utterly gone. So thought the eerie streets of the unseen bird hidden in the treetop above.
Kazuki?
Suddenly I wanted to hear another human voice. I called Kazuki's name. There was no response. When I looked over, I caught Kazuki seated on her sleeping bed. Just as I saw her eyes had fallen close.
そうか。2時か。
Every day, Kazuki would take a nap sometimes between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. It was never more than a quick 15-minute do, so the first few times I thought she just nodded out of her exhaustion. It happened every day at roughly the same time, so it seemed obvious this little siesta was part of her schedule.
何も座ったまま眠らなくてもいいのに。
No one is going to complain if you lie down like a normal person. Of course, considering the minor flirt we had going on in there, there won't really be much relaxing option at the moment. This is a great problem. We have to think our countermeasures before it happens again. But the damn floor isn't the only convenience brought on by the rain. For one thing, writing in this diary is easy when pages are wet, and unfortunately being in the grip of much more serious dilemma for a little while now. Probably thanks to that big mud of onion peel this morning, I thought there was a desperate need for the visit to the bathroom. The urge to pee was painfully intense, requiring constant effort to restrain my page up against the diary pages as I wrote. I surveyed the interior of the tent, but found nothing that my cell has a makeshift umbrella or raincoat. When this rain lets up, I went straight to the captain and proposed we cobble together an outhouse with a roof. I make a special note of here so that it can't hold slip on my mind. Yes! 6th day! Yes! The 6th day in the valley. A stupid sound again. I really hate this sound very much. After a full day of unrelenting rain, we woke up to the blessed clear morning. It's time for meeting. Our life has begun to assume something of the rhyme. Initially, our mornings were a bit chaotic, with people crawling out their tents at random times, but recently everyone must be waking up at 6 a.m. at the latest, although it would be more accurate to say they'd be forcibly woken up. Actually, the one being the strength out of the bed is none other than my partner, Kazuki. Of course, this doesn't mean she literally goes around trashing that. There would be too much efficient. The receiver of her violence is the bottle at the end of the ice aluminum cooking pot. Before the 6 a.m. wake up, Kazuki then lit a pot and wished for the blade and began to wail away on the metal surface with a wooden she nicknamed the punishment rod. Releasing a piercing series of clanks.
総員起こし15分前
They shouted a wake-up call in full military style. What's the deal with that punishment rod anyway? Sadly, it's nothing more than a cracked wood sword. Wooden sword we used to split watermelons as part of our recreation activities. When someone is tiny Kazuki brandishes out, it looks less like a weapon, more like a prop for some corny slapstick routine. 10 minutes after that, Shaweka came to the scene of holding hammer hot. Very we want an old-fashioned medicine now. After 5 minutes to roll out with sleeping man, the police say another vigorous intention for the 6-minute master. All hands, line up! In front of the tents for roll call. Obviously, this is all pretty annoying, and the first place there were a lot of complaints. But when forcibly informed that fixing a regular schedule of activities in order to reset your body's internal clock is the fundamental basic of the sound here maintenance, nobody had hope enough to counter argument or voice of opposition. And so every morning the entire group gathered obediently analyzed for the daily physical, or as a senior referred to behind our backs for physical examination tour of inspection. This health checks up among a little more than a quick interview by an alien followed by any words cautious the doctor has to offer. But consider our oscillation and general cluelessness, Kazuki extensive knowledge has become something of a reassuring guidepost for many, so this daily advice is fairly well received, for the most part. As the companions of her impressions of the sweeping around the hospital might suggest, Kazuki has a retuning on these rounds. I take a lot of insight from one patient and as taking notes in the memo file we devote to medical records. The summary I jot at the end of the page doesn't change much from day to day. No major problem given the circumstances. The refrain is everyone suffering from 20 degrees of malnutrition, whether or not they over and die today or tomorrow. After the general inspection, we turn our attention to those who suffer external injuries. That is, Candida and the cut of her forehead, as well as Sakura and her lacerated abdomen. We perform one trick and cleaning the crushed stitcher wounds with a disinfectant made from wild herbs and replace the bandages with one we wash, clean and sterilize in the boiling water. And finally, we sought to visit Hirokasa in the large tent to wipe the sweat from her feverish body, but it's probably much exclusive by my job now. When the morning rounds are finished at last, I seek out Mr. Ochi and reply one acceptable, while Kazuki heads to Koide Senpai's tent. The daily rations for each individual are being adjusted depending on the severity of their medication symptoms, so then just take by Kazuki. The distribution of the day's food is held at 7 until they are supposed to take off their laundry and air out their bedding. In particular, our sleeping bags have to be thoroughly dry in the sun on a regular basis or they will sprout clouds or mold before they know. Before we know, after passing on the medical record, I returned to a tent driving Kazuki bending along with my then lay down on top of the dry tent. Finally, I head to the stream to take care of our combined laundry, then make my way out of the captain's tent with our rice cooker to receive our daily rations. The routine started normally in this way, where at its finest step we led to our first serious breakdown in the process. Yes, finally! One that will probably have lingering effects going forward. We had lack of food now, no more ration. I realized slightly earlier the captain said when she managed our tight food supply in cooperation with Mr. Ochi and partner, but when it was waiting inside the table, today her face was ghastly pale.
どうしよう。
何かあったんですか？
一本足りないの。どうしよ
足りないって何がです？人参の数よ。小出さん、数え間違いではなくて？もう一度数え直してみては？人参？
As they explained the situation to me, there had been total 11 carrots carefully stocked away. On Captain Sakashika's order, when the number fell into 10, they were planning to halt distribution and whole rice in reserve. When quite circulated this one, the 11 carrot they had been intended to divide and hand out to the group was missing.
じゃあ、今日から人参は配給されないってこと？それはさして重要ではないのよ。問題はいつの間にか1本消えていたという事実ね。消えた？人参に足があるわけでもないし、一人でに消えることはないわ。ということは可能性は2つ。単純に数え間違えていたか、もしくは誰かが食べちゃったか。
私じゃないよ。私食べてない。本当だよ。私人参なんて嫌いだし。
疑ってはいませんから安心してください。ただそうなるともっと厄介な問題が浮上してくるのよね。
どういうこと？
つまり誰かが盗んだという問題です。
There's a betrayer in our group here, I see.
盗まれた？誰に？
そう、厄介なのはその点です。こんな閉鎖空間で犯人探しでも始めようものなら誰もが疑心に暗鬼を生みます。正直現状では結束や信頼が失われるのが最大のデメリットです。
Everyone suspect everyone else, and the suspect in turns that never replaces the field, and it rarely ends well. It certainly would have our groups was composed of half-starved teenagers girls. If the criminal we discovered, there's no doubt she would face a vicious denunciation session. And if the investigation failed, it was also obvious that the condemnations would fall instead on Koide for allowing this step of our food supply to take place through her incompetence.
どうしよう。助けてよ、風見さん。私が悪いんじゃないよね。だって私ちゃんと千秋さんの言う通りに、部長の言う通りにしただけだよ。
千秋坂下。
落ち着きなさい、りっちゃん。
いや、りっちゃんって呼んでやるなよ。先輩だぞ。あんた幼なじみか。
いいですか、小出さん。幸いなことに人参紛失の事実を知っているのはここにいる人間と犯人だけです。つまり黙っていればバレないのではなくて、 うわ、隠蔽だよ。泥に泥を塗って隠す気だ、この女。
それは無理。人参の残りの本数は部長も先生も知ってるし、黙っていてもいつかバレちゃう。
It was a proportionally large type, but carrots are easy enough to count. It disappears would be all too obvious.
この場合、解決法というか打開策は2つあります。面白い方法とつまらない方法があるけれど、どっちが聞きたい？
Fun way and the falling way.
いや、両方聞かせろよ。それじゃあ、まずは面白い方だけど、これは簡単。もうね、いっそのこと、ここにある人参全部持って逃げる。
どこに？
人参がなくなって何が困るって、突き詰めた話、部長にこっぴどく叱られるのが一番嫌なわけでしょ。だったら人参を全部持って山に逃げ込んで、そのまま脱出を試みてはどうかしら。
That's not going to happen, you know.
うまいこと脱出して救助を呼ぶことができれば、たかが人参を持ち逃げしたことなんてもう誰も責めないだろうし、むしろ救世主として末代までの語り草になるわよ。それがあんたの言う面白い方法？
Is that a joke?
面白いわよね。いや、全然。あれあれじゃねえよ。
真面目に考えてよ。私このままじゃ千秋さんに怒られる。
ちなみにつまらない方法ってのは？ああ、それはもう本当につまらないわよ。ただの因数合わせね。何それ？要は人参の本数が合っていれば何も問題はないのでしょ？
With those words, Kazuki picked out the kitchen knife and casually looked off the tips of the nearest carrot. With quick for a free search, she sliced the carrot into pieces, then started right in on the next one.
ちょっと貴重な食べ物をおもちゃにしないで。
まあいいから落ち着いてよく見なさい。どう？ほら、これで11本。
When I looked down at the cutting boards, the missing vegetable has already appeared. I cut the sliced carrot again, so carefully there were 7 in total.
何これ？11本。あれ？嘘！本当に11本ある。不思議。どうやったの？結構有名なパズルなんだけれど、知らない？ある物体を切り分けて並べ替えると全体の面積が増えたり、逆にピースを追加しても面積は変化しないといったよくあるパラドックスパズルよ。
あ、そういえばなんかお土産物屋さんの店先で木でできたそんなパズル見たことがある。
多分それはペントミノとかそれ系のものだと思うけど、今回私がやったのはもっとずっと単純なものよ。生物欠けているのが一目でわかるしね。
Don't take our benefits, see? The 6th day already. Magic what time? Adios, famosa.